So my name is Chris de Kubber, for EFRA, the Factories of the Future Research Association. I'm dealing with a research program, which is a European research program, which is all about manufacturing. Now, digitalization in manufacturing is an important part of research and innovation in manufacturing, which brings me to Connected Factories, which is a project that is all about bringing together people that are into research and innovation, industrial people, research and innovation people, like from RTOs, research and technology organizations, universities, to bring together information about what they're doing in those projects, and to bring that also to the wider audience. A lot of these projects are about pilots, demonstrators. So an interesting thing is to bring the demonstrators to the surface, to tell what the demonstrators are doing, which technologies they are deploying. And that's pretty much what Connected Factories is about. The value of the pathways lies in the fact that, well, there's so much things going on, there's so many projects, there's so many pilots and demonstrators done by these projects that you might lose a reference. And what we want to provide to all those out there that wish to understand how things work is to provide this reference, this framework, and a pathway is providing this framework in terms of providing already an overall context, like hyper-connected value network perspective, saying that's a supply chain perspective or a factory level perspective. Already that's where you are. That's where you imagine yourself. That's how you benchmark your own company. And then you see how much advanced probably you already are in terms of digitalization by comparing with the demonstrators that are also situated in the pathway, and that also explain how, for instance, cybersecurity is addressed, how interoperability is addressed, and maybe that teach you or give you insight in how you're already addressing it, and maybe you're inspired by the other examples. And the pathway helps you in finding your way through the different ways of digitalization, the different contexts of digitalization, whether it's in a value network perspective or your factory level perspective, machine perspective, etc. The first case we would like to talk about here is the case from the Quality Project. Now, the Quality Project provides actually an architecture. It provides a lot of pilots and demonstrators for sure, but above that it provides an architecture in order to guide how to implement digitalization, particularly in order to guarantee quality on the factory floor, hence the word quality of the project. It's all about zero defect manufacturing and providing the actual services using data from the factory floor, but also connecting the data with all the different digital, possibly islands within the factory, on different levels within the factory. Referring to pathways, as we did before, it's important to, of course, consider that many factories already have some kind of digitalization within the factory floor or within their administration. So what we have is digital software tools, CRM, customer relationship management, administration tools that, of course, are a legacy in the factory and we don't want to throw them away. The same for engineering tools, CAD systems, computer-aided design, computer-aided manufacturing systems. Those are around and we need to value them within the further steps towards digitalization. So those are around. In the bottom, or on the factory floor, there's also networks already. There's what we can call field buses. There's been a history of implementing field buses already. So there's a corporate IT network already there. There's a factory level network. So that's what we have to build on. Now, what we need on top of those systems that are already there? For sure, we want to get value out of the data from the factory floor. So within this framework, we will now implement tools and systems that get the data out of the machines, out of the production lines. We can refer to it as Internet of Things or Industrial Internet of Things. This data is feeding into what we refer to now in many cases as digital twins. Systems that learn from the data and feed intelligence back into the factory floor, but also upwards to administration levels, engineering levels, systems that probably already exist, or for sure we have to make sure that these systems talk with one another. So the tools I'm talking about now are really a bridge between the factory floor and the upper levels of digitalization in manufacturing. There's also another side to it that in some cases this data needs to feed back in real time the control of the factory floor. So there we're talking about real-time critical systems as well. Now, in order to get all these tools in place, we need to support these tools by a digital infrastructure. This digital infrastructure doesn't need to be installed within the factory floor necessarily. We can have software running on the cloud. We can have software also running on the factory floor. We can refer to that as edge computing or fog computing. There's the concept of distributed ledgers that is being referred to as one of the ways to do trusted communication across even factories. There's 5G, so there's different supporting infrastructures that we need to have in order to use all those smart tools, making value of the data. It's all about making systems talk with one another at the right time. Now, making systems talk with one another requires digital models to be also in sync with one another and talk the same language. We're talking about similar vocabularies. Also, this is related to the interoperability assurance, and there's also a layer foreseen for that. Now, all these components and building blocks, they provide companies, organizations with the stepstones to actually start deploying data spaces. Now, the eFPF project is all about federated platforms for manufacturing. We talked about digitalization, and there's many companies and organizations that can offer digital services to manufacturing companies. The question is how they are discovered, how they offer the services. There's many portals now around that actually provide you the opportunity to perhaps discover that you can actually provide your data to a company, and they will have nice algorithms that actually provide you optimization of your production lines using that data. The point is how to accomplish this. Now, there's one additional factor. There's many of those companies, so there's many of those portals around. And that's too much to handle. That's too complex. That doesn't work. So, well, it works, but it's very fragmented. Now, the eFPF project is addressing the challenge of having different portals by providing a data spine and necessary services or devices to actually discover services that are around and that are being deployed via different portals. For this to happen, there needs to be a kind of discovery or a registry. So that's one part of the story. Which services are available? But then the point is, okay, which data formats are required by those services? Which are the data models used by those services? And very probably the data models that are already in place in a factory are not the same. Or the factory has already used another service that actually uses another data model and actually has been biased towards that one. So there's an issue in using different services that use different data models. eFPF is about putting in place a data spine and all the necessary tools in order for companies to discover those services and then to see how to make the bridge between the data models that they are using or that they wish to use and the data models that are required by the services that are offered. Now, the Zero Defect Manufacturing Platform project is also following the route of creating a marketplace where service offerings can be provided and that different stakeholders that contribute to making everything happen are finding one another and are communicating with one another and offer this service to the manufacturing end user at the right time and the right place. Who are the stakeholders? Who are offering the services and who are benefiting from them? There's a win-win, or there should be a win-win for everybody, obviously. Let's look at the hardware side first. We're talking about manufacturing. So the manufacturing company requires manufacturing systems. So there's a manufacturing system supplier that provides this equipment. In many cases, that equipment is enhanced with sensors and actuators that are perhaps not on the machine straight away when the machine is being sold, but the machine is evolving and there's actually service providers or hardware providers that enhance the machine along the life cycle of the machine. Those could be other parties. And in addition, there's software suppliers. Software suppliers that do not provide big, huge monolithic systems. No, they provide apps that actually can use data from the machine and make the machine better by providing feedback and optimizing the machine. In order to make that happen, there might be some customization done. There might be some certification done because you don't install just anything on any hardware anytime, any place. So that certification, that customization can be done by some service providers that are even additional to the software suppliers. So that makes that there's even another party as a software supplier and another party as a service provider. So already this provides us with 4 service providers: manufacturing equipment, technologies for data acquisition, sensors, etc., the software suppliers, the app providers, and the service providers that can also do training. So certification, training, customization, cloud hosting, stuff like that. So that provides us with a whole ecosystem. So ZDMP is offering us inspiring examples of all these stakeholders working together in a synchronized way and making a benefit for everybody, and in particular for the manufacturing company.
We have gathered a lot of relevant and useful information for you on our project website and the EFRA Innovation Portal, and we are regularly holding thematic events. But we are also keen to promote and help you share your experience among the European research and innovation community along the journey on these pathways. For this purpose, we are launching the Digital Transformation Cases Catalogue. Don't miss this opportunity and share your experiences and best practices with us and the manufacturing research and innovation community. For more information, check us out at www.connectedfactories.eu.